וישב יעקב בארץ מגורי אביו, בארץ כנען. In this pasuk, Vayeshev, there is Chazal that comment, Bikesh Yakov leishev b'shalvo. Vayeshev, wherever it is written in the Torah, Vayeshev or Vayeshvu, it is always a sign that something bad is going to happen. For example, Vayeshvu Shom, about the Dor Aflogo, Vayimtzu Biko Be'eretz Shino, when they came to the valley of Shinar, and they settled there, Vayeshvu Shom, and they built a migdal, they built a tower. We know how it went on, the story. The Dor Afloge, HaKadosh Baruch Hu split them apart, all of them, because they rebelled against him. And the same we find about the Egel, Vayeshvu le'echol ve'lishtois, Vayokumu le'tzachik. When they did the Egel, it's written there, Vayeshvu. They sat down to drink and to eat. And the same we find about Achi Yosef, in the same Seder, Vayeshev, a bit further. They sat down to eat, the brothers of Yosef, after they had thrown him into the pit. And then they saw a caravan of Ishmaelim who were coming along, and they took him out of the pit and they sold him as a slave. So it's also written there, Vayeshvu. And also we find about, at the time of Shittim, when the Yidden, Vayochel, Vayeshvu om bashittim, Vayeshev om bashittim, the people, the Klal Yisrael sat in Shittim, Vayochel om liznois el benois Moav. And then they started doing znus with the daughters of Moav, and that's when they had a big Magefe, you know the story. How many thousands of the Yidden were killed at the time. And here again, Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz migurei aviv. Chazal say also it is a sign that something bad was going to happen. What? The Mechiras Yosef. The story of Yosef with his brothers, a terrible tragedy. Brothers who hate each other, Vayisnu osoi, as the Torah says, they hated him to the point of to want to kill him. And also, Lechuven Ahargeu, except that Reuven saved him. Vayeshev. What is in the word Vayeshev, which is portent of calamity, of tzoros? What is in the word of Vayeshvu? That is a bad sign. That shows that something bad is going to happen. What is wrong with Vayeshev? Chazal say, Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalvo. Yaakov wanted to have a quiet life. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Midas Hadin, because Midas Hadin and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's all one thing. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Midas Hadin, or if you want, the Satan, because it's also one thing. That is Midas Hadin, that is the Satan. So the Satan was Mekatreg, accused Yaakov. Lo dayan la tzadikim, is it not enough for tzadikim? Sheyesh lohem olam habo, that they have olam habo. Elo sherotzim shalvar bo'olam hazeh, and on top of that, they also want to have a quiet life, in this world. We are not masking. We don't agree with the wish of Yakov. Bikesh Yakov leishev b'shalva. In the word Vayeshev, there is a signification of to be a toishev, not a ger, in contrast to be'eretz megurei oviv. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei oviv. Yaakov wanted to become a toishev in Eretz Canaan. The land belongs to me. I'm at home. I'm well here. Not like his father who was Megurei Oviv, Be'eretz Megurei Oviv, Yitzchak, Vayigor Yitzchak Bigror, as we already spoke a few weeks before, the difference between the Toishev and a Geir. By Avram Avinu, Geir ve Toishev. But really Avram Avinu wanted to be a Geir and to stay a Geir. Geir onochi ba'oretz. We are all here Geirim, we are all here passing along. We are not here to settle and to stay. And whenever a person thinks that he is here to stay, then surely he is deviating from the right path. He puts an emphasis on things of this world instead of putting the priority in things of the next world. That is what there is in Vayeshev here. Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalvo. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't agree with Yaakov. You want some quiet life? It is not like that. And here comes along the story of Yosef. This is your quiet life. There is no quiet life for the tzaddikim in this world. Now you want a quiet life. That's what's going to come to you. The Yosef and his brothers, quarreling and selling him as a slave. And not only that, it's only the beginning. And then Golus Mitzrayim, Shibud Mitzrayim comes from that. It comes in a physical way and in a spiritual way as well. As Chazal say, you called your brothers slaves. You are all going to become slaves. Midrash, Chazal. They were calling their brothers slaves, the sons of Bilo and of Zilpo. You are the Bnei Ashfochis. You are children of the servants. We are children of the mistresses, of the Geviras, of the real wives. And therefore, you are slaves. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, aha, you call your brothers slaves. I'm going to make all of you slaves. There will be no difference. You call it the steamroller. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the steamroller in order to equalize everybody. The steamroller, the Shibud Mitzrayim. The purpose of Shibud Mitzrayim was to equalize everybody. And all that from what? Because Yaakov wanted to have a bit of quiet life. In this word, Vayeshev, so much there is in this one word, Vayeshev. All the Shibud Mitzrayim lies in that word. All the Mechiras Yosef lies in that word. All what's going to go on until Shmois and further lies in that word of Vayeshev. Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalvo. Yaakov wanted to have a quiet life. Now, I'm going to ask you something. What's wrong to want to have a quiet life? We all want a quiet life. It's quite normal. What's wrong if Yaakov wants a quiet life? Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalvo. Do you think Yaakov wanted to have a quiet life in order to watch television? Chas v'sholem. Chas v'sholem. Do you think Yaakov Avinu wanted to just make holidays of his old age, a retirement? Yaakov, we can be sure and certain that Yaakov Avinu wanted a quiet life because he wanted at long last to sit down and learn. He had no time to learn. He was so busy to fight with Lavan, fight with Esau. So many tzores. He couldn't catch his breath. He was busy in saying Tehillim all the time, as Chazal say, when he was in Lavan. Now he has got a bissel ruhigkeit. Now he's at home. Everything seems to go in the right way. The Shvotim have grown. Each one is having children, Baruch Hashem, Simches, Shulam al Yisrael. No, now Baruch Hashem, I can aspire to a bit of quiet. And at long last, I can revise the Torah which I've learned, Beis Shem Ve'ever, in the Beis HaMidrash of Shem Ve'ever. What's wrong with that? Tzadikim mevakshim leishe b'shalvo. The tzadikim want to sit with a bit with a quiet. What's wrong with that? Especially as we know that bitochen, we already repeated it a few times. What is bitochen? What is trust in Hashem? The Chovos HaLevavos says the definition of trust in Hashem is to have a quiet life. Menuchas nefesh aboteach. And Yaakov Avinu had bitochen. We know from the stories of Lavan how much bitochen, how much trust in Hashem he had, Yaakov Avinu. So if Yaakov wants to have a quiet life, surely it is a quiet life which is based on bitochen, on emunah, on bitochen. No, it's a gewaltige Sach, something wonderful that. Menuchas nefesh aboteach, someone who is quiet in his mind, serene. He doesn't have a troubled mind, but very serene and very quiet. Menuchas nefesh aboteach. That is the definition of bitochen. So what's wrong if Yaakov Avinu wants to sit and have a quiet life? Surely he is about bitochen. He trusts in Hashem. And Taki Chazal say, Vayeshev Yaakov. There is another midrash on Vayeshev. The Chazal bring a posuk in Mishlei. Nosu ve'en roidef rosho. A Rosh runs away and no one pursues him. Who is that? That's Yosef. Yosef, as soon as Yakov came back in Eretz Yisrael, he ran away from Eretz Yisrael. Why? Chazal said, mipnei abusho. He was ashamed. As long as Yaakov was by Lavan, he could sit in Eretz. He could dwell in Eretz Yisrael. As soon as Yaakov came back, because of the busha, people were talking. Look, the twins. Look the difference between Yosef and Yaakov. Huh? So he was misbayish. He was ashamed. So he ran away. Nosu ve'en roidef roshe. A Rosh runs away without anybody running after him. Stamazoi. He imagines things that people don't like him, or people speak about him in town. So he runs away. The tzaddikim kakfir yivtoch. The tzaddikim, they trust Hashem like a young lion, a cub, a lion cub, who is cocky and is not afraid of anybody. Tzaddikim kakfir yivtoch. The tzaddikim are cocky like a young lion. They're not afraid of anybody. They settle in their place. And that is Yaakov. Vayeshev Yaakov, because he had bitochen. He felt good where he was. So you see, Vayeshev means that he had bitochen. That's why he felt good. He settled. For example, like we, here in Manchester. We see Baruch Hashem, everybody is settled nicely. Look at the houses, people make extensions. And the sukkahs here, mamish, are to stay till Mashiach comes. At least. You don't find any sukkahs like the sukkahs here of England. They are here to stay for 100 years. Those sukkahs. Not like the sukkahs in France, they're made of a few planks of wood in and there. So what does it show? That it's a good thing. That shows Baruch Hashem, the land belongs to us. Vayeshev Yaakov. Ve'bitochen. The Rabbeinu Shalom is protecting us. Otherwise, why do we settle so nice? On what base? Surely, because we are ma'aminim, we have got faith, we've got emunah, we've got bitochen. So, Kal v'chomer, Yaakov, if we can settle in Golus, Yaakov cannot settle in Eretz Yisrael. Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Kenoah. This is unser Land. Surely there he's entitled to settle on the same basis, of course, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised that land to his forefathers, L'zaracho etneno, and he is the one, he is the landlord, and he trusts in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Chazal say Vayeshev, in the word Vayeshev, there is V'tzadikim kakfir yiftoch. the tzaddikim trust in Hashem like a young lion. And on the other side, we criticize him. Why do you want a quiet life? So what is it? So the explanation is the following. There is a smiches here, another midrash, which probably know. The Parshas Vayishlach ended with the names of the kings of Yosef and the Alufim. The Alufim is also like kings, the Gemara says. Only they don't have any crown. That's all. But in the power of leaders, they have the same power as a king. Which today, for example, the President of the United States, what's the difference between the President of the United States and Queen Elizabeth? What is the difference? The Queen Elizabeth has got a crown, and Clinton doesn't have a crown, that's all. But really, Clinton has got more power. So that's the same with the Alufim. The Alufim, they are Melachim Belitago, the Gemara says. Belitago, but without a crown. But they are as good kings as the previous ones, which we quoted before. So the Midrash says like this. When Yakov saw all these kings of Yosef, he said, Oy Gewalt, he said. Look how far ahead they are of me. So many kings, so many Alufim. And me, what do I have? Not one king yet. He got scared. He got scared. Who can conquer all these? Now if you ask, and what does it matter to you, Yankov? How can you conquer the Alufim of Yosef? Who says you have to conquer them? You can live in peace with them. They are in Har Seir, and you are in Eretz Canaan. So what does it matter to you? No. Yaakov Avinu knows that Uleoim Ileoim Yemots. Yaakov Avinu knows that their greatness cannot be equal. Either the master is Yosef, or the master is Yaakov. As Yitzchak said to Yaakov, Evegvir leachecho. You shall be the Lord of your brother. And to Yosef he said, Ve'esochicho ta'avod. You shall serve your brother. So Yaakov knows that it's either or. Either I am the great one, I'm the Lord, or he is the Lord and I'm the slave. And what does it matter again if I am the slave? He said to Yosef in Parshas Vayishlach, Ko yomar avdecho Yaakov. Yeah, but you remember, we spoke last time that Yaakov Avinu was punished because he said, Ko yomar avdecho Yaakov. Chazal say, you call yourself his servant. Kidvorecho, like you said, it's going to happen. He will be the master in Olam Hazeh. You will be the master in Olam Habo. But in Olam Hazeh, as you said, since you don't appreciate your greatness and you make Yosef your master, you will be your master, like you spoke. Kidvorech. So of course, after that, Yaakov Avinu, when he saw the Aluf, he said, Gewalt, Take, it happened already that Yosef has become the master and I become the slave. And again, what does it matter? Well, it matters because it's all bound together with Torah. It's a sign. If Yosef is a master over us, that means Toik nish mituns. Something is wrong with us. Because he said, Yitzchak to Yosef, Voyo kasher torid, uforakto ulo me'al tzavorecho. You will be the master when Yaakov will deviate from the derech ha-Torah, from the ways of the Torah. So the umglik, the tragedy is not that Yosef is our master now. The tragedy, that is a sign, that it is a sign that we have not done tshuva yet. Golus in itself is not a tragedy. The tragedy of the Golus is that Golus shows us that we have not done tshuva yet. We have not perfected ourselves yet. If Yosef is a master over us, so it shows that the chas v'sholom, we have been rejecting the oil of the Torah. That's what Yaakov Avinu was afraid. So he said, am I going to conquer all these alufim? Meaning, how can I do tshuva? So the Midrash says on that question of Yaakov, the Midrash says, Omar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Yaakov, what are you afraid, Yaakov? Don't you know you have got a power which is much stronger than Yosef? Because Yosef is straw, and you have got fire. As it says in Ovadio, "V'yo beis Yakov eish ubeis Yosef lehovo." Yankov will be fire, and beis Yosef will be flame. Ubeis Esav lekash, and Esav is straw. Udelokum ve'acholum, and the fire of Yankov and of Yosef will burn all the straw of Esav. And you know the moshel? The moshel with this man was selling straw in town, and he came with his camels loaded with straw. There was there the blacksmith who was wondering where will all that straw go in. And one man, intelligent man said, "What are you wondering? One spark of your fire can destroy the whole straw in 1 minute." So Yaakov Avinu was afraid of Yosef. Now, how can Yaakov Avinu be afraid? Why doesn't he understand himself what HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him? You have got the fire of Torah, Yaakov. Doesn't he know, Yaakov, he has got the fire of Torah? Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu have to remind him? Yaakov, don't be afraid. You have got the fire of Torah. So we must say like this. Yaakov Avinu, what is Yosef? What is the definition of Yosef? Yosef is a man whose sole idea, ambition, is Olam Hazeh, this world. He doesn't do anything for Olam Haba. For him, Olam Haba doesn't count. He doesn't believe in Olam Haba. All what he wants is Olam Hazeh. Yishuv Olam Hazeh, to better this world, as we know, since the time of the Romans, up to now, we are still, all the Goyim have got the same ideology. They put their main koiches, all their power in making this world a better world. But they don't seem to manage it very well. But that's what they intend. Firstly, that's what their ashkofe, that's what their ambition is. They want to make this world a better world. If not, why did they invent aeroplanes? And why did they invent phones and wirelesses and all this and all the rest? It's in order to make this world a better place where to live. Cheap electricity, and so on and so on. But they are going against their own project. We find that the more technology there is, everybody agrees on that, and the worse the morals are. Everybody says it. It's a very plain fact that when they had to plow in order to sow, in order to have a piece of bread, Goyim were more honest, because to work for one's living is a very good way to be a good man. But because of all the machinery, because of all the technology, people do not work, they become idle. And we know that abatolo mevio lidei shimum, people become bored with themselves when they have nothing to do. And by the way, even, let's say, even not only men in the fields, but women at home, now you just push a button and everything is done. Oh, nearly. Not yet. No, not quite. All right, not quite. Yes, but at any rate, but boredom is here. But boredom that you know, there is a lot of empty time to do with oneself, and one becomes bored. And that's why people, what am I going to do? Where shall I go? People are not happy. So, you see, that's the ideology of Yosef. Yosef wants to make the world a better place, but he forgets one thing. Or he forgets, or he doesn't know. You know, he has to learn it, or we have to learn it, really. We don't speak about Yosef, we speak about ourselves. Because we all have a little bit of a little Yosef. So we always say, a little Amalek, a little Homon. Because we also are very frustrated when someone doesn't pay us some respect. Yeah. The other day someone pushed me, I wanted to get out of the door, and a young fellow came in and pushed me. I felt bad the whole day afterwards. Well, what is it? It's a bit like hormone. So there is a little bit of hormone in each of us. So when we are talking about Esau, let's talk about ourselves. We also make the same mistake, like Esau does. The Chovos HaLevavos says, the more the Olam Hazeh has got a yishuv, kol ma shenitoisef Olam Hazeh yishuv nitoisef haseichel churban. The more Olam Hazeh has become a better place to live, more organized and modernized, and the worse the seichel has come out of it. The seichel means the spirit of man. All those things never happened 50 years ago. Drugs, crime. Where are we going? In this day and age of technology, of wisdom, of chokhmah, there was never a time in history of the world that there was so much wisdom, so much chokhmah in science as today. And the more science there is, and the less morals there is. Now, that is Esau. That is chokhmah ba'goyim tamin. There is wisdom by goyim, but Torah by goyim. All time there is no Torah by goyim. Why? Because the more you free people from work, the more you have together with that occupy their mind in a different kind of work. As Chazal say, either it's working in the fields or it's working in the Beis HaMedrash to improve your character. That is Torah. Torah triloso gemilus chasodim, v'soifo gemilus chasodim, v'emtsoiso gemilus chasodim. If all the people of the earth would understand that the main purpose of man in this world is to do good to others, then there would be no problem. There would be no problem. Look how much food there is in the world. There's so much food, too much food. They throw it in the sea. Why? Because we have to keep the price up. Who says you have to keep the price up? Who says you have to? Organize yourself to divide the food for the poor countries, people who starve. So what is it here? No, we need the money. Money. Who says you need the money? Now we're in a time where in all the countries there's a big crisis. People are going jobless, without jobs. Millions and millions of them. And they're increasing every day. And they don't know how to come out of it. You have to make new jobs. How can you make new jobs? You've got all the machinery. You don't need people anymore. So they've got a crisis. They've got a problem. But what is the problem? What is the problem? Who needs jobs? Those people who have nothing to do, give them the food you are throwing in the sea, and let them learn, educate themselves. Let them learn. Build schools for adults. Make them busy in improving themselves, becoming better people. That's what man has come here in this life, not to earn money. Well, but this idea is a revolutionary idea which only Mashiach can teach to the world. Who is going to listen to them? The President of the United States can impose it on the Congress? They'll check him out. He's crazy. Send him in the hospital if he says such a thing. Who is going to accept such an idea? What is on the way? What is on the way? Selfishness. Selfishness. No gemilus chesed. Each one wants to become rich. Hey, of course, we when there is starvation somewhere, then we send some packages, some things, just to show we are good. But it's not a solution. They don't want to tackle the problem at the root, because it means we have to undo the whole thing, that we are not here in this world to become rich, and they don't want to accept that. That is the Torah. That is Torah. That is Torah which is lacking. Torah bagoyim al tami. That is the contrast. That is the difference between Yakov and Yosef. Yakov is olam haba. Lo dayan latzadikim shemetukan loim olam haba. Yaakov Avinu has to keep to his tachlis. Olam haba. Now, Yaakov Avinu when he was afraid of Yosef, that means he himself had the same, a kind of a little flaw, a cheson of Yosef. That means Yaakov Avinu was touched a bit by Yosef. What? That to try to improve his stay in Olam Hazeh, not through bitochen, because if it is through bitochen, it's okay, but through a teva, through natural ishtadlus. And that is wrong. Menuchas hanefesh, to have peace of mind because of trust in Hashem, that is the ideal, that is the final goal, that is a wonderful, no one can criticize Yaakov to want to have a quiet life based on bitochen, based on trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But here Yaakov Avinu is afraid of the alufim shel Esav. That means Yaakov is not convinced that he has got a greater power than Esav. That means he himself also, chas v'sholom, is very finely, very, in a very small way, he has got the same cheson as Esav. And how do we see from the continuation? Well, we see it, for example, the behavior of Yaakov. All the rest of the story goes along that. He makes a preference to Yosef more than the other brothers. Vayas lo kesoines pasim. Now this kesoines pasim, Chazal say, because of a bit of silk, kesoines pasim, which is worth two coins of silver. It's not very much. Because of this poor kesoines pasim, there was a mechiras Yosef, and there was a shibud Mitzrayim. And Chazal say a man should never show a preference for one child amongst the other children. Now the question, of course, is, how could Yaakov Avinu make such a fault? How could Yaakov Avinu show a preference? Doesn't he understand? Yaakov Avinu is a great choram. He knows what he's doing. Doesn't he understand he's going to provoke jealousy? Even us, we are not like Yaakov Avinu. We know when we buy a toy for a child, yes, we come from town, I'm never going to bring a toy for one child. I know the other children will be jealous. Everybody knows that. That is elementary. How can Yaakov Avinu do such a thing? Of course, it is said, it's written, Yaakov Avinu had a cheshbon. He had here a calculation. He knew and he calculated it, and he took a risk. What? But for what purpose? He wanted to make a kinas soifrim. Like in a yeshiva, for example, the Rosh Yeshiva, yes, he's got a very good boy with a very masmid. He wants to show him as an example for the other Talmidim, so he gives him a preference in order that the other Talmidim should take an example on him, and they also would like to emulate that Talmid. That was the calculation of Yaakov Avinu. Kinas Soifrim, to provoke a jealousy of Soifrim, that means of Chachobim. Kinas Soifrim, Tarbe Chochmo, as he says in the Pasuk, to be jealous can be good. If you are jealous, if one pupil in the yeshiva is jealous of a better pupil and he starts to work, it's wonderful. He's motivated by the jealousy. Why not? That was the purpose of Yaakov Avinu. But we must say, if Chazal criticize him, yet that shows, although he had that calculation, he shouldn't have done it. So how did he make this mistake? We must say then that whenever there is a calculation which is a wrong one, there has been a negia somewhere. That means there has been a self-interest. What was the self-interest in Yaakov Avinu to give an importance to Yosef more than the brothers, with the calculation that through that he's going to make the other brothers try to emulate Yosef and become as good as Yosef? Because Yosef was from Rochel, because Yosef was Izi v'koinin doi meloi. he resembled to him because Yosef was his most preferred child. Not Tamazoi. He was the Zivikunim was similar to him in the face, and he was the child of Rochel. And don't forget, Rochel was Akeres Abayis, was the main wife for what he went lechatchila to Lavan. Since there was a touch of very harsh, very difficult here to say the word, but a touch of negiyah, that means self-interest, but it's in brackets. It's because very harsh we cannot speak on Yaakov Avinu. There was a shadow of self-interest, something which we cannot even point with our finger. But Chazal say it. If Chazal say it, we must say it, not for the sake of Yaakov, we must say it for our own sake. How much the Vayeshev of Yaakov Avinu bikesh Yaakov leishe b'shalvo. The fact that Yaakov Avinu wanted to settle in a way of Gashmias. So because of that, he also adopted a behavior which was not fitting for Yaakov Avinu. As we said previously, if a person forgets for what purpose he is here, for what purpose he has made a family, he has brought a family, and he thinks he forgets for one moment that the purpose is for Olam Haba, then he can make tremendous mistakes. Because as soon as one believes the main purpose of life is here, then he's bound to make mistakes. What mistakes? Always the same thing, self-interest. Because Olam Haba, there is no self-interest to it. Olam Haba is to give and to give and to give, never to take. And that is the difference between Yosef and Yakov. Yosef is to take and to take and to take, never to give. There is money where there is a project which can bring money. But when it's a project where it can't bring money, there is no money. There is no money to find cure for cancer. There is no money to make hospitals, to make better education for the blacks in the United States. There is no money to do good to men. There is no money. There is only money where you can get money back. And what was Chernobyl? That was to make money with less money. What about the lives of people? The health of people? Doesn't matter. That is Yosef. Yosef is Olam Hazeh. They think it's Olam Hazeh. But Nanechtika talk. That's by behaving like that they don't even have Olam Hazeh. Because Akine v'Atayve v'Akov moitzi mesodem min ha'olam. By doing like Yosef wants to do, they realize now that they wanted to save money. That's not the way you save money. You cannot. So that is the difference between Yosef and Yaakov. Yaakov is Olam Haba. Menucha. Olam Haba is also Menucha. Olam Haba is also peace of mind. That is Menucha. Yom Menucha. Mein Olam Haba. Yom Shabbos Menucha. Olam Haba is Menucha, is peace of mind. That is Olam Haba. But on what is it based? That is the difference. If you base your peace of mind on not wanting more for yourself, then you have got the peace of mind of Olam Haba. But if you want to have peace of mind by wanting to take more for yourself, then you'll never have peace of mind. And that was the difference. Vayeshev Yaakov, that Vayeshev brought on all the rest. Because of that Vayeshev, there was in that Vayeshev to have some peace of mind through the ways of Yosef Chas v'Sholem. As the Midrash says, Moshel to a person who saw a pack of dogs, on Yaakov. A person saw a pack of dogs, and they were showing their teeth, and they were barking. So what did that person do? In order to avoid the dogs, he went and sat amongst them. Well, that is a very funny way. When you see a pack of dogs, in order to avoid the dogs, you go and sit amongst them. So the Meforesh, the Matnas Kuna explains, because the nature of a dog is when you run away from the dog, he runs after you. So the best thing to avoid, as you say in English also, if you cannot beat them, join them. Well, Yaakov Avinu, Midrash says this on Yaakov Avinu. When he saw the Alufim of Yosef, he said, well, if I can't beat them, let's join them. Midrash here. So you see that Vayeshev, also in Vayeshev, he went and sat amongst the dogs of the Alufim. So we see again that in this Vayeshev there is this kind of contamination, we could say. Contamination of the ideology of Yosef. I always said, I think I say it in that year also, that all our problems we have stem from this. Because we want to take. We want to take. Then all the problems come from that. If we would want to give only, we would have no problems. That's what Rav Dessler says. Koyach hanetile and koyach hanesile. And that is the difference between the Yosef and Yakov. Why? Because to give, you can always give. To take, you cannot always take. It's a rough way if you want to take in life. A very rough way. If you set your mind, Vayeshev, I want to have peace in this world by taking, by stocking for myself, by making every time sure that people will be respected, to make sure I'll have plenty of money in the bank. If you want Vayeshev the way Yosef wants it, then we are heading for trouble. That makes the problems. That makes the fear. Or maybe I won't be able to take later on in the later years. Maybe I'll be out of a job, I won't be able to take. I lost in the past. I lost. What does it mean I lost? Because I want to take. You never say I lost when I want to give. If we set our mind that we are here to give, then there will be no problem. There cannot be any problem. Tzadikim in olam habo, what is the best enjoyment? They give the neshamas on the mizbeach. Tzadikim in olam habo. We think olam habo is to take. No, there is no taking in olam habo. Even in olam habo, what is the enjoyment of the tzadikim? That the neshamas are burnt on the mizbeach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is their enjoyment in olam habo. As I state in Midrash. So the enjoyment, olam habo, is to give. That peace of mind that a person will feel is completely out of reach of all the problems because he's only wanting to give. What is he afraid of? He only wants to give. That is on that Vayeshev here. All the trouble afterwards. Some self-interest of Yaakov Avinu because Yosef is his preferred child, looks like him, because he's the son of Rachel. Therefore, he makes him a kesaynus passive. That's what lies in Vayeshev. And all the trouble starts from there. And then Sinas Chinom, Mamish, like a repetition of Yosef and Yakov, Kimat. A repetition of the mice of Yosef and Yakov. Yosef wants to kill Yakov. It happens with the Shiftei Koh. The Shiftei Koh. Why? Because the same trouble there was in Yosef. He wants to kill his brother out of jealousy. Yes? The same virus also is attacking the Klal Yisrael. The Shiftei Koh. Vayisnu osu. Vayikanu bo Yakov. Of course, it's not the same way. You have to say, Lahavdil ben kodesh l'chol. And Yisrael lo ami. Of course, you have to say it. But let's not fool ourselves. The virus is the same. And you can only get rid of it by opting for the different way. And that's what when Golus will come to an end, when the tikkun of the sibeh of the Golus of Shibud Mitzrayim will be mended, then this Golus will also come to an end. We know that the Shibud Mitzrayim was the Golus par excellence, that in that Golus was already programmed all the other Goluyas of Klal Yisrael. And we will only come to perfection out of all the Goluyas when we come out of this Golus which is Golus Edom, which is for Sinas Chinom again, Sinas Chinom. And by doing Tshuva on Sinas Chinom, that means on real Achdus, and that can only come when we realize that taking the midah of Yosef, that is not for us. That is not for Yisrael, for Yaakov. Our midah is like the Moshiach, Oni v'roichev al chamoich. Oni v'roichev al chamoich. To be poor. Oni. To be poor. Not to want to take. Not to be afraid, not to want to become rich. Oni v'roichev al chamoich. And then Ta'akeh will be zeichet, will be coming to Mashiach.